Hello guys, welcome to the Unleash Potential podcast. We're back here again for another weekly episode. Today I've got my guest Abdi Jabbar, Umar Hassan. Unfortunately, our main man Haji's out.
Pulled a muscle.
Yeah,
And he's
pulled
back,
a muscle,
bro.
yeah.
Like the most old man thing to do.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know? He was picking up some paper or something like that and pulled his muscle at work.
Man,
Imagine going back home, like, what happened? I tried to pick up a piece of paper. Now I'm
that's
back.
that's when you know you're aging. When you do everyday things and you pull a muscle.
No, but that's actually this, like, at work, because we do lifting as well. They say that a lot of people pull it when they're picking up stuff, like small stuff rather than heavy stuff. Yeah. Just like bending over to pick up a pencil could be the one thing that strains your back if you're over 40. So Haji, I don't know.
You know what they say? They say if you watch a baby and the way they actually try and pick up things.
Everything. The
It's-
way they
it's
sit
the
down,
correct-
like their squat
that's the
positions
correct
when
position.
they're sitting down,
Yeah.
everything, yeah.
Right.
They're like the way they swim, everything off the bat. They like the way they're biologically correct almost. Like literally just squatting, sitting, pooping, like everything they do it right, even though they don't have like they have more bones than we do at that age.
It's crazy, man.
Anyway, guys, this week was technically yesterday was Eid for us.
Yeah, man.
What do you guys get up to?
It was good, man. Just family. Today was the day off. It's a Monday, so
Yeah.
a lot of people didn't have the day off. So I luckily just watched the movie, spent some time with the boys that were free. So it wasn't that bad.
You went to watch a movie?
Yeah, Hobbs and Shaw. Like, if you ever seen a movie where, like, it's just cheese, extra cheese, 7 type of cheeses, the cheesiest movie you've ever seen.
What do you mean? What are you
Hobbs
talking
and
about?
Shaw?
Yeah, no, I haven't.
The Fast
seen
and
it.
Furious?
Fast and
Yeah,
Furious,
no, I
like-
know the movie,
yeah.
but I'm like, what
Like,
do you mean it's so cheesy?
like, I'll give you an example. Like, you know when they have, like, a set piece and then they have, like, that one-liner? Like, after a you know, that cheesy one-liner?
yeah,
they'll
yeah.
have those every 10 seconds. Like, even a conversation that's not, like, a serious conversation, they're cracking, like, 7 jokes in the middle of it. The over-the-top scenes are, like, even more over-the-top, and it's just one of those, like, here's how bad it is. You're expecting it to be over the top, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I come into the movie expecting that. And it's
That's
still
your
expedient.
problem, man. That's your problem.
No.
A lot of these movies is people enter it with expectations.
No,
And
but
sometimes
sometimes
it's due
my
to
expectations
the trailer
were the
itself.
correct expectation. I'm not going in there expecting like a plot line with no holes, and I'm going there for action set pieces and jokes. So that was my expectations. So like, you know, like Expendables or something.
Yeah.
I went in there and it was exceeded my expectation in those things. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
Like, yeah.
So was the Eid well spent for you?
That's good.
Yeah, with the family part was well spent, yeah.
What about you, my brother?
What did you get up to?
Wallahi, man, went to Salah and I saw
Oh, yeah?
Jabbar there, but then we just parted our ways, man.
Yeah,
But,
family.
yeah. I stayed a bit with the family and stuff and just kicked it with them. And then, I don't know, what did we end up doing? Went out and
We played
actually...
pool
Yeah,
that
we played
evening.
pool. Yeah, that's it.
We played pool
Linked
that
up back
evening.
again with you and some of the other boys.
I remember that
We
pool
just-
game.
Yeah.
That was very nice. I was very happy that.
Of course you remember it, man.
Of course.
Oh, man.
Bites you in the wallet. You have to.
What'd you do during the day?
Alhamdulillah, man. Just family. A lot of sleeping, eh?
Mm.
Yeah, a lot of sleeping.
Man,
You
alhamdulillah.
get to the age, bro.
You and
know what I
Haji
mean? You get
both,
to the
huh?
age, like, you just want to kick it, bro. You know
I
what I'm
think
saying?
everybody's aging when they say
Just
you
getting
get to
old,
that
man.
age, you know, and
Yeah.
I'm like,
It's
bro, you're under 30. What are you talking about?
Elmi, I get. He's been working. Like, that's like the only time he had off. So I expect him
today
to
off
sleep.
as well. Yeah, I had today off.
I expect him to be sleeping. Haji, I expect him to break his back. So,
Fair enough.
All right, guys.
so what's the topic today, bro?
Without any further ado, let's get into this wonderful topic we have for today for our viewers and
What are we
listeners.
talking about?
Today is the gender roles within our families
Mm.
and wherever you
The
prefer
community.
in the world, in the
Ooh,
community, between the males and the females. So pretty much, I'll go with you first. What do you think is the difference between the gender roles and the male and the female?
I think if you look at it like just gender roles in general,
Yeah.
they're based primarily, it depends, right? On the culture you're in. It depends on the society you're in and the generation. And even then, it's still like family specific
It
because
does, yeah.
yeah, like some families within a particular race, within a particular culture, still may differ to the societal norms.
Even over time, because I don't know about you, in our household, it's changed over the years. Like, it being in this country, coming
Yeah.
from where we came
Yeah.
from, like, just my mum getting used to things and just like it changed. I remember me as being one of the second oldest, the responsibilities and stuff I had to do and the genders I had to, because we 4 boys, the oldest are 4 boys. So for us, it's a bit different because all my sisters are really young. you know. So we're older. We had to clean. We had to do all that sort of stuff. So that was. But I had cousins and stuff like was complete opposite.
Yeah.
And they changed around because like my cousin, she would always do the cleaning when she was older. Her sister, my younger cousin, doesn't. She doesn't have to do as much because her parents are like more lenient on them.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right in saying that it is specific to different families, because I find even with my family, the way we operate is completely different to someone else's family that I see. And it could be someone as like my cousins, for example, or my aunties and stuff like that. Completely different. And then it shifts completely as well, depending on the country and the society you're a part of.
Mm-hmm.
Like you might have specific gender roles growing up, living back home. As soon as you transition over to a Western society,
It's different.
Yeah, it's completely different. Your gender roles change. But I think there's some underlying ones which have stayed throughout the test of time, right? So you look at, like, for example, raising children. A lot of the times that tends to fall towards the females.
That's
right?
true.
But nowadays, I feel like that's slowly shifting. Like men are starting to have a more active role, at least from my perspective and from what I see, is that men are starting to be a lot more engaged in the home, a lot more helping with the raising. Like you'd find a lot of like youngsters that are around my age and stuff that's got children. They're out there changing nappies that when their fathers have never changed a nappy ever in their life, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're out there actually cleaning up. They're out there actually babysitting.
Shopping,
And to be honest, I actually hate the word babysitting because you can't babysit your own child. You know what I mean? Like
that's true.
even then,
That's
there's actually men who are more engaged, but there are still some that hold on to the previous mentality, which is that the man is supposed to look after the family, but not be fully engaged in the home doing the female
the breadwinners.
roles.
They're out earning the money and all
Exactly,
that, and
protecting from the
household.
outside kind of thing, you know?
It's changed because I think women have more power now. They're able to get their own jobs and work, and they're having children later on in their 30s rather than, you know what I mean? So now, if you want to marry someone and get into a relationship, you got to be cleaning. She's going to have a job. You're going to have to babysit. You're going to have to manage with her time and stuff like that as well. Where back in the days, women didn't work as much. They didn't get paid as much and stuff like that, which has really helped.
Also because the economy has changed. If you look at it, back then, a man can survive on just his income. You know what I mean? Or even if you would be well off sometimes, depending on the type of job that you had, on just your income. Now, to try and live in this society, it's a bit difficult. You need two incomes to actually...
And not even that, like, before it was 9 to 5. Now you can work from home, online businesses, Uber. Like there's so many different ways of working where you can fit the schedules. You don't need to go the corporate route. You know?
So you think the role of like being the breadwinner has been split between the male and female now?
All I gotta say is if it's a big difference, because think about it. Back when, like you said, the male is the breadwinner, they had more of the power because they had the money. You know what I mean? Now the woman doesn't need to stay around. Like I said, they're having children later on. So now you're married for 3 years, no kids. She's making more money than you are. You're going to tell her to clean the dishes?
It's changed.
She'll walk away.
Society has changed.
She'll walk away.
Correct me if I'm right, boys, but from memory, I've watched a few documentaries here and there, documentaries here and there. You know, back before when there was World War One or Two, remember how back they used to take most of the males and then take them to war?
Yeah.
And who's gonna
Provide
for them? Who's gonna make the economy?
Yeah, grow.
Actually,
grow.
that's where a lot of the
That's when women
rights came.
started. Yeah, that's when women started going into the workforce and started becoming breadwinners. Because back in the days before, it used to be the woman stays home, the man works, comes provide for the family, and it continues. But when the First World War happened and the Second World War happened, that's when women started getting more rights. Look, that's a good thing. Like obviously now, man and woman works, which is better.
And also, I think the perception of doing those feminine roles, and I say feminine in quotes because they're not actually feminine roles; they're just roles, right?
Yeah.
But we ascribe that femininity to it. Doing those roles, like cleaning up or doing the dishes and stuff like that, the perception of it has changed over time. People used to see it as feminine roles. Now they're actually seeing it as, oh, this guy's a family man.
It's not even that.
You know what I mean? Like they've ascribed a certain like positive connotation to it.
They do, but I don't even see it as it's the seeing. I still think there's a large group of people that still think of it as feminist. It's that the rest of it are speaking out. Because before you could say that you could be in the office and go, oh, you're cleaning, that's a woman's job, you know? And they would allow, you say that now, you're gone, you're fired, you know, you say that in the streets, everyone's yelling at you. The fact that they're nipping it in the bud, like, it's a big thing. Like, with any rights, with women's rights, you can't do that now.
I think it's a mixture of both. One, the fear of speaking out against it, saying that it's a feminine thing, or and the fear of backlash. And also the fact that there's been a lot of male role models basically in our society, so sort of like being engaged in, like, for me, for example, growing up, I saw my father clean, you know, and so that has passed down onto me, and so I'm someone who actually engages in just housework and stuff like that, and I don't see it as something that's feminine, right? Because over time that's changed. Yeah, exactly. It's your house, it's your mess. You're like, if you want to be a family man, you have to be engaged in your, you know, your house duties. But if you think about it, like, there's other aspects to gender roles. It's not just what happens in the home.
It's a lot. I've actually looked at it, like, specifically on, like, the causes of a lot of the, like, the cycle. Because you see kids, teenagers always talking about, oh, this is a female thing, this is a that thing, and, like, how they get that perception. And like you said, it is the parents. Small things. I know, like, because we're in the Muslim African community, and outside of that, they say that, for example, kids, the boys only need to clean their sort of stuff, like clean your bed, you know, brush your teeth, go to bed. While the girls are like, no, you clean your bed and you got to do this. When the boys do a chore, they get paid for it. Or you wash the car, good work. If you did something you're not supposed to, here's $1. Right. When the girl does the dishes, she was supposed to have small things that it's not even forced on, that they just get that mental, like the kids realize that. You know, when the son goes to do any chore now, out like at school or whatever, someone says, go do this. Well, I'm not going to get paid. Like, you know, I'm not doing it for free. But the girl's like, assumes that she's supposed to. And it's small little words and stuff, like kick like a girl. Like, those are all cut out, because I'm big into sports. You can't say that now. You can't say kick like a girl. I know someone at the last soccer game tournament when the parents said that, and they got they weren't allowed on the pitch for the rest of the season. Oh, wow. Because it was a repeat offense.
Oh, come on, bro.
And it was just
That's
words.
gone too far, man. That's gone too far.
No,
not really, because it actually it affects someone's.
It does.
I understand, but there's got to be a bit of banter, mate. There's got to be a bit of banter.
Right,
someone told me I'll kick like a girl. I'll laugh.
But it's true. You see your daughter's getting yelled at by some dude on another team on the sideline saying, "Oh yeah, get her off the pitch. She kicks like a girl." Or your son, he kicks like a girl. Get him off the pitch.
I'll tell her, toughen up, princess. The world's not easy. You gotta be tough. You gotta learn how to take comments, bro. True or not?
Yeah, you do.
Fair. That's your point of view.
Listen, there is always being strong enough to endure things, but there's also standing up for it. I'm not saying she's supposed to be able to take it and not react irrationally. As a parent, you teach him that, but you don't teach him as that's what you're supposed to. It's accepted to take it. You know,
absolutely.
And that's what's killing.
What about things like education? Because I know growing up, I used to see some of my aunties and stuff like that and relatives, whenever it came to education, their parents wouldn't consider it as like a big thing for the females, but for the males it is, simply because they view it as like, oh, you're going to get married anyway.
They're breadwinners.
So, what's the point? You, however, as the male, you need to educate yourself so that you can become, you know, a breadwinner.
But if you look at it today, like, from my perspective, I ain't gonna tell the people I'm educated. I'm not educated, bro. My uni, I dropped out of uni. But if you look at it today, like in our community, majority of
that's the females.
Just the females. Bro.
Yeah,
it is. But the way that the schools educate you, the whole sitting down, taking a piece of test.
So what you saying?
More designed. There's studies that show it's designed more for females. So that whole sitting down, an hour class for this math and an hour, that is more for females. Guys, I find it harder to learn off a piece of paper straight off the bat. Yeah,
but that's like looking at it after you've actually pursued education. What I'm saying is looking at it in the family dynamics.
No, but what I'm
whether you will have that support if you wanted to go and pursue education and do, you know what I mean? Like, I see what you mean. Back then it wasn't. Now, if a female says, or if your daughter comes and says to you, I want to study and then I want to pursue and I want to actually get my master's and then I want to do a career and so on, she's not going to be held back. She's actually going to she's going to carry a lot more weight and she's going to actually look more favorable as well.
I see that, but I'm talking about him saying that he sees a lot more girls, like, and it's true.
Right, yeah.
Because, and guys, as you see, they drop out more because it's, I can study this and then earn something well afterwards, or I could spend that time working physically doing something. You see what I mean? And it's not that they can't. It's just that it's easier for them to learn the other way.
Let me tell you, girls today, like in our community, they're doing like I see they're doing better than the guys. I know some girls that work full time and study full time. It's crazy, man.
But it's also has to do.
You're absolutely right. Yeah,
in this day and age, I see it as different. I see it as the parents are pushing the females more.
Yeah,
they find it harder to get the guys to go into uni than it is the females. They want the girls to go into uni. And this is just my personal experience. Is because they want their daughters in this day and age to be educated because they see how important it is. Like they don't want their daughter now to not be the breadwinner because they can see women are making money. They don't want their daughter to be a wife that's staying at home
and reliant
on someone else. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Especially with the amount of divorces that are, like going on in our own communities. So it is very important, and I think it comes down to the families, and each family has their own little perception. There are some families still to this day who see that females should not actually be educated, whereas actually Islamically females like if you look at Islamic history,
the first university was made by females.
Some of the best scholars, females. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like even this mentality is not Islamic. The Islamic mentality is that you educate the female because eventually the female is the one that's going to be raising the child and actually educating a whole generation.
Yeah, and you gotta it's scary in this generation. Like imagine you're the breadwinner. You got phones and stuff nowadays. Like you're not sheltering your kids by just keeping them in the house. Your son can be sitting there on a laptop, on an iPad, going through like the internet. And if you're like your wife is this uneducated, staying at home, just taking care of the kids, they're not going to be able to raise the kids correctly.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Yeah. Like just look at the way technology is just booming. And my mum does not know how to use a computer correctly. You know what I mean? Like I have to be the ones that's watching out for my siblings and stuff like that with that sort of stuff. But this luckily because like I said, we were the oldest one. Now imagine in this day and age if you kept them that way, and that's a big thing. Like I know there's a lot of I know friends and people that I know that have, well, I would say that haven't had the most opportunity. I put it in a nice way because the parents didn't have the best footing to teach them in this day and age. Because coming from a third world country here, it's a lot harder. You know, they don't have that education, and like I said, because of that, they're pushing that education, and it's completely different now.
But by pushing the females, are they neglecting the males? Because I feel like there is a lack in pushing the males to actually go and educate, be better, and do better. I don't think they're getting pushed in the right way, or the fact that they're not actually connecting with them.
As long as you're not bumming, as long as you're not in jail doing something terrible, owing money.
Yeah, so they get away with a lot of.
Yeah, they do get away with a lot of that.
It's a sense of like they're focusing sometimes way too much that is detrimental to the male.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like it's good that they're focusing on the female and pushing them to aspire for higher education and be better and so on.
No, but
but in that sense, don't just neglect the males and actually leave them as they are and be like and set the standards so low for them that all they have to do is just pass high school or just get a degree or just
have
work
a job. Don't be
You know what I mean? Like it's not that's not it.
That links to the reputation as well. Like women, their reputation is a lot more fickle than a guy's is. You know what I mean? Like a guy can be out and about in the town, seen doing a bunch of things, and then the next year change, and everyone will say, "MashaAllah, the guy's become a better person." A girl will do one thing and that can stick. That can be a blemish on her reputation, like for good. I've seen it happen, like both ways, Like it's like, oh, that girl got look at the divorced women. People don't want to go after them. They're like, oh, she's divorced. Nah, I don't want to marry someone that's divorced. When you see guys going marriage after marriage after marriage, just getting like it's nothing. And then you see the parents and all going, oh, it's okay. Like you said, the bar is so low for the guys. He's okay. MashaAllah, he's doing well. With the girls, it's like they could be a lot higher, but the smallest blemish and they're seen as below. And that's in our society, which is a scary thing.
Yeah. But how do the roles actually affect that? Because if you look at it in the household, how you push the female to be better and set the standards so high and neglect the males and actually push the standards so low. Are they right in doing that? Because I feel like they should actually raise the bar. Like
they should raise the bar for both,
regardless of whether society is going to view them as whether society has low expectations of them. regardless of whether the males go ahead and do all of these things and not get any blemish on their name, the family should still push the standards so high that they should actually go out there. Everything comes back down to the family unit. What goes on in the home is what actually transpires in society, right? So if you as a family push the standards so high and you get the males to actually achieve at that level, then they're going to start feeling like, okay, I'm going to actually hold back. I'm going to actually try and achieve as much as I can. Because the family has set that standard, you know what I mean? Regardless of whether they're males or females.
Of course, but that's what I said. The small stuff that people just say and do with the kids is like, because people expect the parents just to be like outright, like, you know, do the dishes. You're a girl. Like they're not gonna do. You know,
but that's what I mean. Like it starts in the family.
It does start.
Yeah,
and a lot of the time, it's things like I said that you don't realize. A little kick like a girl. You can be sitting watching a game. You know, a football match, and Messi kicks it wrong, and you're like, oh, he's kicking like a girl, and you don't know your daughter's behind you doing the homework on the desk. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's being aware of it, because you could push both. You could push the guy or the girl all the time, but then if you know, but you talk to me like that, you expect this from me. You say this, but you expect this from me. You know what I mean? That changes it. A lot of guys are like, oh, when they go out and the parents say, you need to get this much score, and go, yeah, but when I don't get punished. But when my sister doesn't get that score, no TV, you know what I mean? They can see that. They think they can get away with it. And it's like I said, it's not like this giant red flag in the house. It's small little hints. Because in this day and age, those red flags, like I said, get cut off. You can't say that nowadays in public without being... Kids are aware of it. They know, you know? So you can't. You got to be very careful what you say.
That's interesting, man.
That's true, man.
What about like the roles when it comes to marriage?
Because that one is like I said, still ever changing. Like women are holding a lot more power now. They have to say. Like you see all the jokes, the 50,000 meher and all this sort of stuff. Is they're educated, they know, and they're aware of all the divorce rates and all that sort of stuff. So they're more like they're cautious. They are, hopefully they are. But I reckon a lot of the divorces is because you could say that you want a girl or a wife to be a certain way, but if you've had those, you know, instilled in you where you don't do the chores, you don't do any of those sort of stuff, obviously you meet a girl, you put your best foot forward, you get married, you fall back onto your tendencies, expecting her to do the dishes, you just go to bed and stuff like that. They're going to cause rifts. They're going to cause fights.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Man, the roles are just, it's crazy, man. But like I've noticed it myself, how it changes, even from generation to generation. For example, how I was raised as a male in my household is different to how my younger brothers will be raised. And the leniency, they're just so much more lenient when it comes to like my younger brothers, for example, you know. It changes, but like I said, the underlying things are always there when it comes to education, when it comes to marriage, when it comes to housework, when it comes to chores, whatever it is, when it comes to even raising the children, even that in itself is look, even when it comes to like the role of who actually looks after the money of the household.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a lot of guys have that tendency of thinking that when they get into a marriage, they're the ones that have to hold on to the money. Why? Because it falls back down to their protective status.
The breadwinner.
Yeah, I'm the breadwinner.
I collected the money.
But no, you and
they don't.
Man, it's crazy. Like
if it is those old roles where the breadwinner and then you got the housewife. The husband has no idea what to spend the money on. Because think about it, the housewife's paying all the bills, doing all the grocery shopping, the clothes for the kids. Like who pays for that in that stereotypical household? The mother does. The mother's the one spending the bills. She's the one going to grocery shopping.
That's
so
right.
No matter how much the husband brings in, like you don't know where that money's going. You know. So like I tend to realize that is a problem. Like because at the end of the day, if the housewife is not making money, what about her spare time? What about her own enjoyment? When does she get to go out with her friends and stuff like that? And you can't have that nowadays. The housewife, if your wife is sitting at home and just with not going out with her friends, not doing any of that sort of stuff, not having her own relationships with her friends and family, you're gone. That relationship is never going to work.
It also comes down to like the decision making in the household. Who has that role? Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has favored the male over the female in strength. Okay. And he's given him the ability to be the head of the house. But as the head of the house, And even Islamically, you are supposed to consult. Like the Prophet ﷺ, for example,
Sallallahu
always
alaihi
had
wasallam.
consultation. He would always ask for his advisors, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq and Umar ibn Khattab. And he himself, whenever he wanted to engage in something, he would ask his wife, Khadija radiallahu anha, and even all of his other wives, right? But males have this tendency, and I've seen it in myself
It's
as
my
well,
way or
is
the
that
highway.
they put their foot down once they've made a decision, that's it. And without any consultation from the wife, or without even seeking or considering whether the wife actually, has an
Her opinion.
opposing opinion. So I feel like the decision making in that sense, the roles need to be distributed evenly
Yeah.
going
and-
forward, I think.
Yeah, I think the whole tendency especially with the relationships we were talking about, marriage, is that spending that time together. Because if you have that tendency where you go to work, she's at home, you come home, sleep, you don't have that, you're not spending any personal time. Because I see people that are married that are out all the time. And I'm wondering, you work these times, you're out here, when are you spending time with your wife? Because think about it, it's a relationship. You're a partnership. If you're making the decisions, it's not a partnership. How you're gonna drift apart? How do you know what your wife is thinking, what you like? You're not spending any time with them, and then they go. That's why there's a lot of divorce rates and stuff. And you don't know your partner. Like honestly, I know people that don't know. Their partner.
yeah,
Like
absolutely.
I spend more. Like your boss more than your partner.
You know your
more
friends a
You know
lot
your
more.
friend. I
Yeah.
see you more this week than you
Yeah.
have seen your wife.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
That's
and
right.
then now you're meant to go home, and let's say there's a big decision that you have to make, and you're not going to coincide and talk and try to come to an agreement. You haven't spoken to her. It's crazy when I see that sort of stuff happen.
Yeah.
And then the marriage breaks down and then dissolves, and you go, what happened? And go, oh, we just didn't see eye to eye together. We drifted apart. It didn't work out. I'm like, really? Why do you think it didn't work out?
Yeah, absolutely. Not even that. Like you look at like some fathers and the way they make a decision for their child's life. Like I understand the child might be 18 or 20, and still when it comes to like marriage or something, they'll put the foot down and make a decision that is detrimental to the child's life, even though they think it is better for the child's life.
Yeah.
Simply because they know best. They think they know best. Without actually sitting down and actually speaking to the child and engaging with them and getting to know them a lot more. You know what I mean?
think the one that's the most frustrating ones are there's obviously, if you know better and it's harmful for your son or your daughter, you want to stop it, right? But when it's not harmful at all, it's just that one decision is better. That's up to your child. If you go, oh no, you can earn more being a doctor than being a this, it doesn't matter. He has to rock up to work every day. That's his choice where he wants to go to. He can be miserable being a doctor if he hates that job, and they force it down them. And not even that, like when you're talking about holidays is a great one. Like a lot of people, like sons, 18-year-old teenage boys will go on a holiday and there's no way the daughter will go. I see there's a lot of fathers that go, no, my daughter's not going on a holiday. Wives as well. Husbands will go on bro trips with their friends, go out 4 or 5 with their friends. Wife is back, and then it's like, the wife is like, I want to go somewhere. And it's like, nah. And it's either me or you on a honeymoon or that's it, or anniversary and stuff like that.
I think it comes down to just not understanding that the life of the Prophet ﷺ has encompassed every single role that is available for the male, and he's done it in a way that is like, for example, the Prophet ﷺ used to do his own house chores. He used to do his own, and many people don't actually know that. They think that because and this is the Prophet we're talking about. This is someone who has one of the biggest roles in history. Like he was assigned a task that is much bigger than a presidency. He holds the office of prophethood. You understand? Like
The last ummah as well.
and the last ummah as well. And even then, he still maintained his day-to-day roles, doing the house chore, speaking to his wife, speaking to his children, and understanding them. And even then, he would be able to, when it came to like the money spent, when it came to all of these things, if you are someone who actually engages with your wife or your daughter, even if you make a decision, they will trust your decision because they know you've taken their opinion into consideration, right? But if you don't do that ahead of time, if you don't have a track record of doing that, then when you make your decision, they're going to doubt it regardless,
Of course.
And so if you look at the life of the Prophet ﷺ, every single role, when it came to like the gender roles and stuff like that, he held it to the best degree. And I think a lot of our brothers and sisters in this community, if they actually look into that life, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they will actually start to realize that these roles that exist within our communities are just stereotypical.
They are.
And they're not actually factual, and they're not actually Islamic.
No.
When it comes to education, the Prophet ﷺ encouraged. And like I said to you, one of the best scholars, Aisha radiallahu anha, and she's a female. And like you said, the first universities to open up was from a female, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at Islamic history, if you look at the life of the Prophet ﷺ and his family and the way he conducted his life, you will actually see that there should be no gender discrepancy when it comes to roles and equality, right? The only difference is when it comes to things that a man can't physically do, like nursing a child.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like actually giving birth to a child. Like there's certain roles
You can't.
that you just can't. So I think there's some things that need to be implemented and changed in our society.
There is, but then there's also the complete opposite extreme that's going on now. Because I know there's people out there that will say, oh, but there's a backlash. Or we're now our masculine is being attacked by feminists. Have you heard that going around?
I have, but I don't think it carries enough weight.
I think what it is a subsect of feminists that are using it just to get what they want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's always been on both sides. Like, for example, it's been like that for the men for how long now? I'm in a powerful position. For example, the whole voting, whole thing. Women can't vote. That's a power that we have. That giving it to them, it's like releasing power. Now I have all the decision making. Now I have to give it to them. They're scared of that. Like,
but it's power that you should never have had to begin with.
Yes, I get it.
It's not your power.
But the whole thing is they're using that as for their own greed. And that's what's happening now as well. There's people out there that will kind of like jump down your throat for the smallest things. I mean, you could walk up to someone and go, "Excuse me, ma'am," and they'll turn and like go off at you. "Don't call me ma'am," and like you could have just explained it to me nicely. I made a mistake. No, but it's happening. Like it is happening where there's people out there now, and it's not just with gender roles. It's gender roles, race. We're in an age where anyone that's a victim is using their platform as a victim to gain advantages that are above and beyond, rather than seeking just their just right, their justice.
I think you're right, but then like in every issue like that, I think there are some people who are actually genuinely trying to get to better
and I'm saying that the majority
make it a lot more equal.
The majority is trying to benefit, but when you have our community where you're saying we need to be educated, we need to move forward in it, not being misdirected, you know what I mean? In assuming that some of the things are forced upon you. For example, you can't just, like I said, when your wife is traveling, Islamically, they need a mahram.
Yeah.
When I said let your wife travel, that doesn't mean just let her go out and, but that's a thing that you're supposed to know. And you don't want people taking that as advantage. Oh no, you're a sexist because you're not letting me travel. We don't want that in our society where they've gone too far.
Yeah. And even then, I don't think it should be like, don't let your wife travel. No, because it's not about you letting or not letting. The wife, first of all, the wife should know that it is Islamically incorrect to actually travel long distances like that without a mahram. Why? It's for her own betterment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then secondly, if she does want to travel, you should be accommodating rather than just say, no, I'm not going to let you travel simply because you just don't want to. You know what I mean? Like, but I fully agree with you in that there are some that take it to the extreme, and there are some that, are actually there trying to better society. But I think our society, and speaking only from our community, I think we need to improve when it comes to gender roles. There's 100%. A lot of different aspects when it comes to gender roles that need to improve, and we need to revisit the Prophet ﷺ's life. We need to revisit the Islamic history and actually see for ourselves when men and women are both equal in opportunities, like they have access to opportunities equally. They're being pushed and motivated equally, and they are being looked after equally, and they are actually being raised as equal human beings. And the roles in the household are being shared amongst everyone in that household. And the only ones that are being different or distinct, like I'll give you a good example. A lot of people, a lot of guys especially, they tend to go to the masjid or you know, and go to Jum'ah Salah and go to like Duxis and so on, right? And neglect the family that's back home, the wives. Sometimes the male is more educated than the female Islamically. He knows how to read Quran and everything, but he himself has not taken the time to teach his wife, right? And it's only because I don't know whether he like consciously believes that, you know, that it's only the males that should go to the masjid and learn Islam and actually get to know Islam. Regardless, if I mean, there's the Prophet, I think the Prophet ﷺ said it, or Umar ibn Khattab said it. I think, yeah, it is Islamically, it is better for the wife to remain at home, right, and pray at home as opposed to the masjid, right? More reward at home. But that doesn't mean that Islamic education is limited to just the masjid. Like what you learn at the masjid, you take it back home and you teach your family as well. You know what I mean? Like if you are taking it upon yourself to be the person who takes the role as learning Islam and getting those access to all those different opportunities, like going to the masjid, being near a sheikh and all of these things, then you should also take it upon yourself to pass that information to your family as well, so that they're educated.
But yeah, like we could talk about all the small areas and aspects and where like the inequalities are, but the biggest thing is having it in your mind, like making sure that you're not someone that's being unequal to your son or your daughter or to like any gender in your life, because it's
families, man. Families, I think they just need to improve when it comes to gender roles. Like, let the females take a backseat when it comes to the housework. You know,
be equal.
Yeah,
be equal.
Let the men take an active role in that. And then when it comes to education, push the males as well, rather than just the females and relying on them to be more, you know, educated for the family. Like, and when it comes to decision making, consult the females. Like, their opinion should be highly regarded as well. So yeah, man, like gender roles, bro. You're right. This thing, we can literally talk about it every single. You know
what? Both of you guys, I haven't been speaking much. You guys have been dropping some points. I've been taking some lessons. Alhamdulillah. I've learned quite a bit from you brothers today. And this topic can take us, this can be a long topic, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can talk about this for episodes and episodes, but we don't have time. Time is limited, you know. We got places to be, people to see. And without further ado, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning into this episode. We're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, we're on podcasts, whether you got a Samsung or iPhone, figure it out through your applications. And please give us support, shout out, share us so we can get out, message can get out there for everyone to see.
And give us some feedback, man. We'd like to know on your family and how the gender roles are distributed.
Yeah.
That's definitely, because we got viewers all around the world. Let us know.
Yeah, Eid Mubarak.
Peace.